What's up, everyone? Nima here, and I gotta talk about a video that I found recently from a child named Daniel from Hiding in My Room. I'm not familiar with this guy's channel at all, and I don't know very much about him, but what he does do is he provides this perfectly punchable face for so many of the critics of Horizon Forbidden West. Now, I'm going to start this off also by saying I don't really love Horizon Forbidden West. I think it's a great game, sure, but it's not personal to me when you review this game as being garbage or whatever. It really isn't personal. But what is personal to me is lying, and some of the same generic things I keep hearing about this game that just simply aren't true. Now let's start with the lying. Now, for example, Daniel starts off by saying that he's an avid fan of the game, and many of the other critics say the same thing. Oh, I loved the first game. It was great. Loved it. This one, the story isn't as good. The characters are bland. I don't like the enemies. And Daniel himself said, well, the enemies are complete rip-offs of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Okay, well, if you're an avid fan of the first one, guess what? They didn't change the enemies, buddy. They're the same goddamn enemies. Not to mention, Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn came out the same year around the same time. So you can't really say that they're stealing ideas from Breath of the Wild when it comes to enemies. And to be clear, I love Zelda Breath of the Wild, arguably my favorite game, and that's also what pisses me off about this guy and his lying. It's proof that he's never played it. If you think that the robot dinosaurs from Horizon Forbidden West are the same enemies as Breath of the Wild, then it's obvious you've never played it. Because he probably saw a picture of a guardian and assumed that was all the enemies in Breath of the Wild. If that's really his thought. Because again, I put thousands of hours into Breath of the Wild. There's no robot dinosaurs. That's crazy, I know. But I don't know, I actually play the games. I don't just make up reviews and lie about playing them. And that leads me to my other big issue, well, one of many, is his breakdown of the story, which is he basically gives out the story in 2 sentences, and in one of them, he lies. Or he's wrong, I should say that. It's proof that he didn't actually play the game. Because he talks about how Aloy and her band of friends go to Venture West. But, okay, if you've played it, then you would know she doesn't have an entourage. You don't play with you don't have a team of people that go with you. No, you're Aloy by yourself going to the West. That's one part. But on the other thing, he gives a good, 2-3 sentences, and it's essentially the same thing that you could read online. It's just a quick little idea of what happens, but without mentioning the fact that she's looking for Gaia, doesn't talk about the fact that she's a clone of Elizabeth, doesn't go into any of the early story. And trust me, I haven't beat the game. I don't know the full story because I haven't played it. Longer than, 10 hours or so is about all I put into it so far. I'm working on other stuff. But this is where this game continues to get downgraded. And a lot of critics are coming after it. And it's weird things like this. Another thing that he mentions that I've seen a lot of critics talk about is that the characters are emotionless. What are they talking about? The facial expressions alone in the conversations set a new standard in video games. I can't say this enough. I don't, absolutely love this game. This isn't my favorite game or anything. But when I watch the cutscenes, and I can see that the characters, they have emotion. They don't look fake. They look like real people. They look and act like a genuine human being. And for them to criticize that, it's annoying. All of this is annoying. And I assume, while I'm watching this, that this guy's just doing this for clout or to be one of those, contrarians. And that's as far as it goes. Well, until you get to, and I think, the crux of many of these people's arguments with the game. And he goes into a significant breakdown of why he really doesn't like the game, and of course it comes down to Aloy's looks. Now look, I want to believe, when people tell me bigotry is done with and we're out of that. We don't have to worry about sexism or racism or whatever. I want to believe that. But then there comes people like this. That, look, I'm not virtue signaling. I'm not giving some sort of thought about wokeism or feminism. It's more just about the fact that we gotta treat everyone equal. And he blatantly goes into the fact that she's not feminine enough for him. Which, okay, to be fair, if we want to set the standard at him, yeah, okay, she's not as feminine as he is, but that's really difficult, because most women I know aren't as feminine as he is. But to go furthermore, he says, well, I don't care as much about the character because she's not attractive. And, for him to get into the game, he needs to basically have a hard-on. He has to have a chubby, and as he says, I'm quoting his words in here, as a 32-year-old virgin, if I saw her on Tinder, I would swipe left. Well, apparently, buddy, if you're a 32-year-old virgin, everyone has swiped left on you. I don't really feel that if you look at someone like Alloy, however you say her name, and you say, oh, she's hideous, you're just a weird incel. You have this, corrupted idea of beauty. And honestly, that's probably your problem. That's probably why you have so much hatred towards a woman like Alloy, who's not even real, by the way, but just the fact that she doesn't fall into this fantasy you have of her because you don't want to fuck her, then you have hatred towards her. You have so many more deeper rooted issues, but one of them being is you are insignificant and inferior to a stronger, independent woman, and that is your problem. It's not the fact that she's not feminine enough for you, or the world looks different to you. No, it's the fact that you're not manly enough. And I don't mean that as an alpha bro. I mean being a real man and handling your shit. Because you wouldn't have a problem with a woman intimidating you, and that's honestly the way that this guy and many of these critics of this game come off. Hey, I don't want to be the next, Frost, and I'm not coming out here saying, men and hating women. No! Not at all. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying you are a fucked up individual if you need a game to give you a chubby to enjoy it. That's what I'm saying, ultimately. And I'm also speaking out for reviewers, because I'm sick of the fact that people like myself and Trotty and so many game reviewers, we grind playing these games. We miss significant things in our lives to get through all of these games, to get through all the gameplay, so we can be honest and give you an honest review. And then you got people like this who aren't even playing them. And literally, they're just shitting on the industry that we help build. And that's ridiculous. And it's disgusting. And all of it, honestly, probably for clout chasing. But it really does come down to a group of people who are immature, need to grow up, and take responsibility for themselves. And that's really what it is. And I don't want to get into this with this guy. I don't really know him. I don't care about him. But I'll be honest, I did do some research, and he's just a sad, lonely dude who blames everything and everyone for his faults and his problems. And I imagine that's a lot of the community that has an issue with Aloy. Or they're Xbox fans. And well, you know what? I at least get the Xbox guys. Sure, whatever. We all throw shade like that. I don't, because I own all the systems and I'm a fan of all those games. I think every game in itself is wonderful. Not all games are wonderful, but I don't love brands. I love games. You know, see what I'm saying? But I'm just seeing more and more of these reviews of this game, and it's mind-fucking how ridiculous these people are, and it all comes down to Alloy's looks. And it's just, what is wrong with you? Really, what is wrong with you if you cannot enjoy an amazing game because you can't jack off to a game? Now, I know I'm probably going to get in trouble for this video multiple times over. YouTube probably want to take it down. My language has been less than than perfect, but it irritates me. It really does. And it's we're at a point with this game, I can't even give an honest review because of bastards like this who have completely shit on the basis of a review. The standard for it is either people lying about it or people totally hyperbolically saying it's the greatest game ever. So what standard is there for this game? It's not fair. It's not fair to the game. It's not fair to the developers. It's not fair to the actual fans of the game or to the actual critics of the game. If you actually have a well-formulated problem with the game, that's fine. You don't have to like every game. I certainly don't. But when your biggest complaint is that the main character isn't sexy enough for you, and that's why you can't get into it. And by the way, he does also go into the fact that he enjoys alpha characters or sexy characters, essentially. I'm paraphrasing. He said hot, feminine, whatever. Dude, live your life for you. I understand escapism. I totally get that. But you're 32, man. You need to handle your own shit. And so many other people who have these same critiques over games like this, yeah, you know what? Don't look for the answer in video games. You got a lot of self-reflection to do. A lot of problems that you need to fix. And if you want to know why you're lonely and why you're sad, it's because you don't bring anything to the table. Because you're sad and lonely. You're boring. Stop asking everyone and everything else to make your life better if you don't make their life better. You have to bring something to the table. Anyway, I also wanted to talk about something else in gaming that, I don't know, honestly, is also going to kind of be a hot topic, and that is the Wii U and 3DS eShop shutting down. Everybody has this kind of take on it, and so many people are saying who gives a shit? Who cares? We don't care. It's over. No one's playing on it anyway, and if you do want the games, it's not like they're going away. Well, yeah, but they are. Well, then the breakdown is, you can still get these games physically. You just can't buy them digitally. Fair enough, but if you look at all the actual exclusives that you can only get, let's just say Majora's Mask 3DS, you can't get that on anything else at the moment. And we don't know what type of emulation Majora's Mask is going to have for the Switch NSO, but I'm sure it's not going to be the 3DS version. You actually have to go physically buy it, which, okay, yeah, if you can find it, and then if you can pay the money for it. Or if you bought it online, it's $19.99. That's how much you can get it for the eShop, or you can pay $70 if you find it in a store. And that's the argument going on, is it'd be better if the physical copies weren't so expensive. I've been looking for a copy of Twilight Princess for the Wii U. I've been looking for that for 2 years, basically. And yeah, I could find one on eBay. I think they're $60, $70. I don't really feel like paying that much. And I could, on the eShop, they have it for $39. So I'd much rather buy that version of it, although now I'm not sure if it's still going to work in the next decade or so, or even in 5 years. And if you really love games and certain series, you want to go back and play them again. I've played Final Fantasy 4 or Final Fantasy 2, depending on where you live. I played that game 4 or 5 times. I just enjoy going back through it. It's nostalgia, it's fun, I love the characters, there's certain things that you kind of maybe missed out on, whatever. Or there's just the idea that you want to 100% it completely. It doesn't matter, it's your game, you should have the ability to go back through it. But now we're finding out that that may not be the option with digital games for a lot of the eShop. And that's a problem. Because then you're stuck in this world of either I've got to kowtow to, the overly inflated industry and spend $100 on a $40 game, if I can even find it, which is also incredibly difficult, or I'll pay less and maybe just rent the game for a while. And I understand that's been the argument for a lot of people about not going digital, and I definitely get that. And I think those people right now are laughing, and they're like, yeah, she told you, this is exactly why we shouldn't go digital, and they're right in so many ways. But the other aspect of the physical side is they become such collector's items that they're really hard to obtain or really pricey. And honestly, I think certain games, A Link Between Worlds is one of the greatest games ever made. Everyone should have access to play that. It's so much fun. It's so good. And it's a $20 game all day, every day. But when you try to find that game next year, 2 years from now, it's probably going to be a $60 game or an $80 game. It's going to be hard to find if you can find it at all. And that's going to be the issue. And that's what people are really complaining about. It's not the fact that, oh, we can't play just this like small group of like exclusive eShop games. No, it's the whole library in general either is going to become inflated and difficult to find, or you're just not going to be able to find them at all. And you're not going to have that option of the eShop to purchase them. And by the way, just to remind everyone, you really only have like 3 or 4 months before you can't purchase them anymore. Because once you can't put your credit card info in, like, what's really the point? Like, you're gonna have to jump through hoops to get it done. And so, yeah, if there's games you're thinking about buying, you might as well get them now. I know, like, I've already picked up Xenoblade Chronicle or Xenogear, whatever. I don't know, X. I don't even know the name off the top of my head, but I did pick up Twilight Princess, and there's like a couple other games I need to get. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. We'll be out for a while. My wife's having surgery, and my mom was just in a car accident today. So there's a lot going on. I do want to just touch on this real quick. I don't want to start some sort of drama war with somebody, and this wasn't like a social justice warrior thing. I'm just irritated when people try to do a job that I'm trying to do and they lie about it and they don't work. They don't put in the effort, and it comes off very just weird and creepy. And you can have whatever thought you have on it, and that's fine, but I think the majority of people would have to admit that sexual arousal should not be a requirement for enjoying a video game. That's all I'm going to say. And that's it. That's the crux of my argument. Anyway, guys, I really do appreciate you. I do have a new review coming out in the next day or two. I'm going to try to anyway. Things are going to get kind of hectic, but it is for Voice of Cards, The Forsaken Maiden, which has been a lot of fun. I'm hoping my counterpart isn't also doing that review. But if so, sorry, Trotty. We'll talk about it. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you. Have a great evening. Take care.